Hello guys, my name is Bino, and in this video we'll be focusing on question 1 from the April 6, 2021 N4 mathematics question paper. Question 1.1 states that we must sketch the graph of x is equal to negative 8 over y. As you can see, if y was equals to 0, this whole thing will be undefined. Even if we make y the subject of the formula, by cross multiplying, we get that yx is equal to negative 8. When we divide both sides of the equation by x, y will be equal to negative 8 over 7. So even when we substitute 0 for x, this whole thing will be undefined. So this graph doesn't touch the x-axis, and also it doesn't touch the x-axis and the y-axis. So we can start by, so we have negative 8 over, so let's use the x is equal to negative 8 over y. So when we substitute y for 2, so when we say that y is equals to 2, x will be equals to negative 4. And let's substitute y for 1. So if we say that y is equals to 1, x equals negative 8, so it's going to be somewhere there. And if we were to say that y is equals to, so if we were to say that y is equals to 4, so when y is equals to 4, x is equals to negative 2. We are using that formula. And if you say that y is equals to 8, when y is equals to 8, then our x will be equals to negative 1, so somewhere around there. So we can see that our graph will take this form, but it will not be able to touch the x and the y axis, because when we substitute 0 for y, this whole thing will be undefined, and when we substitute 0 for x, I mean this whole thing will be undefined. So let's see, when we substitute y for negative 2, so we have negative 8. So let's substitute y for negative 2. So when y is equals to negative 2, x will be equals to 4, and let's say y is negative 4. So when y is negative 4, x will be equals to 2. It's going to be somewhere around there. So when y is equals to 8, negative 8, I mean, this whole thing will be 1. So this will be 1. So let's say that y is equals to negative 1. So when y is equals to negative 1, then x will be equals to 8. So our graph is gonna take that form. So question 1.2, we are required to sketch the graph of y is equals to negative the square root of 3 minus x squared. This is a semicircle. It's not a full circle. So if we had plus or minus, this was going to be a full circle, but because of this negative, it excludes any y values which are positive. So the only values that so inside this square root, we will only have positive values, and those positive values multiplied by this negative value will always be negative. So this is a semicircle which is on the negative y axis. So we only have to, so when x is equals to 0, this will be equals to negative the square root of 3. So negative the square root of 3 will be equals to negative 1,73, which will be somewhere around there. So the coordinates of the y-intercept will be somewhere around there. So we'll have 0 and negative the square root of 3, which is equals to negative 1,73. So to find the x-intercept, we only have to set the y to 0 and we square both sides to make x the subject of the formula. So this will be 0 is equals to the square root. So this negative square will be positive, and this square root squared will be 3 minus x squared. We take the 3 to the left, it's going to change sign from positive 3 to negative 3, and we divide both sides of this equation by negative 1. So this will be x squared is equals to 3, and we make x the subject of the formula by introducing the square root both sides. So when we introduce the square root, we must have that plus or minus the square root of 3. So as we saw that the square root of 3 is equals to, so we have plus or minus, so the square root of 3 is equals to 1,73. The 1,73 will be somewhere there, the positive 1,73 will be somewhere there, and the other negative 1,73 will be somewhere around there. So our graph, like we said, is going to be a semicircle, so it's going to take that form. So question 1.3.1, draw the inverse of the graph in question 1.2 and state whether it is a function or a relation. So we have to find the inverse. So by inverse, they say that we have to, for where there is y values, we have to put x values, and where there is x, we have to put y. So let's take, so we'll have x is equals to negative the square root of 3 minus y squared. So this is a semicircle again, but this time around it's on the negative. So because of this negative, this will always be positive, and always positive multiplied by negative will be always negative. So this will be that side, and as we saw, so this is rotated as we saw, the y-intercept will be at positive 1,73 and negative 1,73. So this will be negative the square root of 3, and this will be positive the square root of 3, and also we'll have that negative the square root of 3, which is also equals to negative 1,73. So this graph will take this form. So we have to state whether this function is a relation. So we have to state whether this graph is a function or a relation. To determine if a graph is a function, you have to use the vertical line test. So you have to take your ruler and you move it around the graph. If it touches the graph 2 times vertically, then this will be a relation and not a function. With that one, as you can see, if we move it vertically like that, it will only touch the x. This graph will only be touched once by this pen, and even this side, this graph will only be touched once by this pen, that one also once, but this one is touched twice by this pen. So that point and that point are touched twice by this pen. So this is not a function, it is a relation. So 1.3.2 states that is the inverse of y is equals to negative the square root of 3 minus x squared continuous or discontinuous. Is continuous because there are no any abrupt jumps. So this was going to be discontinuous if there was a jump, or if there was a vertical asymptote like that one. So this one is not continuous because of that vertical asymptote in the form of y exists. So there are no jumps or there are no holes. So if there was a hole, this was going to be discontinuous, but because there are no holes and there are no jumps and there are no vertical asymptotes, this inverse is continuous. Question 1.4, we are given the complex equation in a rectangular form where z is equals to 3 minus 4j all raised to the power 3, and we have to convert z to polar form, and theta may always be positive. So we are given z is equals to 3 minus 4j, this is raised to the power 3. So we'll convert this to polar form, and we'll get our radius and our positive theta, and we raise this to the power 3. And after we do that, we will raise the radius to the power 3, and the angles we will add 3 of these angles because of that 3 there. So this we can write as to the power 3, but the angle we multiply the angle by 3. So let's convert this first to polar before we can go there. So this is y, so the negative 4j represent the y-axis and the 3 represent the x-axis. So this is x and that part there is y. So we can say that x is equals to 3 and y is equals to negative 4. So it's only on the 4th quadrant where we have a positive x, which is 3, and a negative 4. So we have to look for the r, the radius. So let's indicate that this is x and this is y. So to find the radius, we use the theorem of Pythagoras. R squared is equals to x squared plus y squared, and r is equals to x squared plus y squared. Our x is 3 squared plus our y is negative 4. Negative 4, we also have to square the negative 4, so r will be equals to our r will be equals to 5. So for our theta, so to determine our theta, we use arctan of y over x. Another person can say arctan of opposite over adjacent. So theta will be equals to arctan of our y is equals to negative 4 and our x is equals to 3. So arctan of negative 4 over 3 is equals to negative 53,13. And we were told that the theta may always be positive, so we can add 360 degrees to this negative 53,5. So negative 53,13, I mean, plus 360 is equals to 306,87. So we are adding this because, so we have maybe cos of negative 53,13 is equals to 0,6. Also, cos of the 306,87 should also be 0,666. So this angle is equal to that angle, but this one is positive and this one is negative. So this one is from here. So the negative 53,13 is from here to here, and the 306,87 is from there to there. So the negative in front of this 53,13 indicates that it indicates the direction that it's going from, so that it's going clockwise, and this positive, it still represents this angle, but it's saying that it's going anti-clockwise. So z in polar form our r is equal to 5 raised to the power 3, and we're also multiplying the positive angle 306,87. we multiply that by this 3. 5 raised to the power 3 is equal to 125. 3 multiplied by 306,87 is equal to 920,61 degrees. So we have converted this from rectangular form to polar form. We can also use our calculator, but I don't think you'll get all the marks. So we have the shift, we press the shift and the positive sign. On top of the positive sign, there is that pole for polar, and we have our 3, and we also have that comma there on the bracket sign, and we press the -4. So the 3 and the -4 in the order that they appear, this will be equals to r. Our r will be equals to 5, like the way that we found the r, and our theta is -53,13. They said that it must be positive, so you'll also add 360 to this, and you'll plug this in that equation. Let's jump to question 1.6, where we have to evaluate j to the power 9 minus j squared. So each and every time when a j is raised to a number which is odd, it will always be j. And each and every time when a j is raised to a number which is even, it will be -1. So j, this negative multiplied by this negative would be +1. So if we had j raised to the power 100, this will be equals to -1. J raised to 999, this will always be equals to j. So for question 1.5, we have to solve for x and y simultaneously using complex numbers if x minus jy is equals to 7 minus j to the power 9 divided by 1 minus j. So we can simplify, we can convert this side to polar form and then convert it back to rectangular form and compare it with what we have on the left hand side. So we have 7 minus this j is raised to an odd number, so it will always be j divided by 1 minus j. So let's convert this to polar form and this to polar form so that we can be able to divide them. After that, we convert them back to rectangular form. So let's start with the 7 minus j. We convert this to polar form. So our r will be equals to x squared plus y squared. So in this case, x is equals to 7. So let's name this x1 because we already have x, and y1 here will be equals to -1. So x1, so we have 7 squared plus -1 squared. So our r will be equals to 7 squared plus 1, which is equals to the square root of 50, and theta is equals to arctan of y divided by x, adjacent over opposite over adjacent, I mean. So our y is equals to -1 and x is equals to 7. So arctan of -1 over 7, -8,13 degrees. So we are done with our numerator. So let's focus on our denominator, 1 minus j. We convert this to polar form. So we can name this one x2 and that one y2. So x2 squared plus y2 squared. X is equals to 1 squared and y is equals to -1 squared, and this will be equals to the square root of 2. So our theta is equals to arctan of y2 divided by x2. So our y2 is equals to -1 over 1. This will be equals to -45 degrees. So our theta 2, so we can name this one theta 1, theta 2, radius 1 and radius 2. So we have that as, so we have x minus jy is equals to, so the converted polar form will be r1 is equals to the square root of 50, and the angle is -8,13. And for this part, the denominator, we have the square root of 2 and the angle is -45 degrees. So as far as equation is involved, so if we had r1 over theta 1, r2 over theta 2, when we divide this, we can simply just divide the radiuses, but with the angles is going to be theta 1 minus theta 2. So same story here. We simply just have to divide the square root of 50 with the square root of 2. This will be equals to 5, and we divide 8,13 with negative 45 degrees, and this will be equals to 36,87 degrees. So this is in, so we have x minus jy. So this is in polar form, so we cannot compare it with what we have on the left hand side if it's in polar form. So let's convert it back to rectangular form. Let's use our calculator this time around. So we press shift, the negative sign on top of it has the rectangular, has the rec for rectangular. So you press the shift, you press the negative sign, and we have our radius as 5, and you press the closing bracket sign, shift the closing bracket sign, and the angle is 36,87. So this in rectangular form, x is going to be 3,999, which we can safely write as 4, and the y is equals to 3,000 plus j, y is 3. So from here we can see that, so let's compare the left hand side with the right hand side. So this will be, so x will be equals to 4, and that part we have negative j, y is equals to j 3. We divide both sides by negative j, so that negative j will cancel out with that negative j, and the j will cancel out with that j, and y will be equals to this positive divided by that negative will be negative 3. So y will be equals to negative 3, and x will be equals to 4. So if you have any questions, you can leave them in the comment section below. Subscribe, like, and share if you find these videos useful.